Linking to environments. This is one of the biggest ways that students don't get awarded full marks. So let's have a little bit of a look at how to successfully do this. Now, linking to environments. There's a bit here, so I'm just going to read out some of this stuff from previous examination reports. When students are asked to reference outdoor environments, it's essential that they make specific reference to the place they've listed, and they do not simply mention the environment at the beginning or the end of that answer. So we don't want to see these really tokenistic things where you're writing about a management strategy and you're like, oh yeah, at the Grampians. Let's read on. For example, responses around environmental health characteristics, such as we tested the water at Wilson's Prom and found it low in turbidity with neutral pH. What they're saying is this response could relate to a large number of environments around Victoria. So let's look at what they suggest students do. And what they're suggesting is a higher scoring response would be, we tested the water at Wilson's Prom and found that while dark in colour due to the tannins in the water at Tidal River, it had low turbidity with neutral pH. Now, what's the difference there between paragraph 2 and paragraph 3? We see reference to actual things from that environment. So seeing that the water down there is dark in tannins and knowing that, and also referring to a specific site from within Wilson's Promontory. Right, let's take this a little bit further. This answer provides specific reference to observations made in the environment listed. Marks are not awarded for simply rewriting the name of an environment within the response. So what that means is you don't get a mark for mentioning the environment. However, when you use examples or link content back to an environment and talk about what you saw in a place, then that can be mark attracting. This is what I think are 3 steps to successfully link to an outdoor environment. So to start off with, I think it's okay to name a large place like Wilson's Promontory. That's fine. We go to these places, you might want to name a large place. But then, can you go a step further? Are you able to refer to a specific site from within your environment? So could you refer to somewhere like Sealers Cove? Then let's take it another step. So what's the 3rd step? Can you provide specific examples? And this is where examples are such an important part of writing really good high scoring responses. So can you tell me about sort of habitat types that are there? Can you tell me about some flora that you know are there? Can you tell me about some fauna? Now that obviously is going to relate to basically what you're writing about, okay? But the more specific you can get, the better. So let's look at an answer that I think does a really good job of linking to an outdoor environment. So this is an actual written response of a past student of mine. And if we have a look at this answer, this is for that same area of the course, that characteristics. And we can see that with this student, they're writing about Wilson's Promontory. So they're assessing the health of Wilson's Promontory using a few of these different characteristics. So the first part of the answer starts off by writing about water quality and adequacy. And within there, we can see some really good referencing to outdoor environments. So we can see that, yes, it's talking about Wilson's Promontory. However, the student is also talking about a specific site from within Wilson's Promontory, so a creek at Little Waterloo Bay. It's also talking about observations from that creek, so seeing small fish and many plants. And then talking about a negative and then the presence of detergents from recreationalists. So there we're saying a student write about Wilson's Promontory, but linking it to a site. What did they see there? What do they know about what happens within that creek? All right, then we look at soil quality and adequacy. So the student talks about the soil at Wilson's Promontory, all right, but doesn't just stop there. Goes a little bit deeper and talks about, well, okay, we can tell that this soil is healthy because it supports flora species such as eucalypts, different grasses and ferns. And then it also talks about soil compaction that happens at a specific site, so Sealers Cove. So if any of you have camped at Sealers Cove, down at Wilson's Promontory, you'd know that the soil there is really, it's quite hard to get those tent pegs in, and that's just because of it's been used a lot for recreation. So again, really good linking to an environment. Here's an example of it. It's not just talking about soil, it's not just talking about water and then tacking on Wilson's Promontory. It is talking about this large site, but then drawing upon specific examples. And that's a really good way to link to an outdoor environment. So when we think about linking to an outdoor environment, and here's just a little something to break it up. This is a meme that was going around particularly last year. So if we look at this, it doesn't refer to environment, refers to a large environment. What's even better than that? Referring to specific sites. And then what's even better than that? using examples, or even naming some specific flora and fauna from an environment. So if you can try and think about that as a way to successfully link to an environment, I think you're well on the way to scoring well with questions that require you to do that.